Any complaints about the sound?
Freezing now and then, but that's not nothing to
That's the Wi-Fi.
something else.
Okay.
It's okay. But you have to wait.
The voice. Okay, so ISD. What's it? The perversity and preponderance. Who was that? Screw up. Hello, everyone online. I hope you're well. We are having beautiful weather here. Really, it's it's so like really it's beautiful. So cool. So I had this idea of inwardness I was trying to convey. So the sense of welcoming, receiving, and then I'll look for an object. So I'll look at the river and I'll see a fishing boat, and I'll deliberately bring my mind outward, or say birding. So I'll look at the landscape and, oh, what kind of bird is that? And then I'll identify it. So that's the usual way we look. And fortunately, we know how to do that. But then in the same exercise, and I'll do the other, where I'll just let visual perceptions, I won't even perceive it really. I'll just let visual contact just sort of come inwards. So I won't go into the perceiving mind. Like, is that a robin or is that a blue jay or something like that? So I'll try to contemplate sight without commentary, right? Or judgment or analysis, or so without thought, and not even perceive it as blue or even beautiful or anything like that. So it's a silent attention on the visual experience, and then I'll just let it come to me. So get a kind of inwardness, an involution. Then I'll do that with sound, into sound, and then I'll deliberately, oh, it sounds probably a blue jay. Yeah, they've got all kinds of sounds. And so there's perception and commentary. It sounds like a car. And then I'll let go of perception, commentary, whatever. Just be what it is, actually. And just get a sense of open welcoming. And I'll kind of do that exercise to get a good feeling for that. It's easy to do. But it does give you a kind of activity of how we can go out and comment on things and do things, the mind going outside. But also, and this is something maybe artists do more, I'm not sure, but where we can allow things to be and emphasize more the knowing. So when I do that second thing, then I'm emphasizing more the knowing rather than the perception, the analysis. When I do that, I get a sense of space. It's like if I look at the back wall there, so I can see password fall delights. So everyone now in the world knows the password. Trouble. But I can look at the words. I can look at the people, and that kind of thing, and then I can just relax. I can just let this, whatever the visual image is, be what it is, and then I start to notice space. So when my mind is going out into the objective world, I notice color, and then I have a perception around color and so on, and maybe a judgment about color or space, and then I let go of that. I just let visual perception be what visual knowing, whatever it is, and then the mind relaxes, and then there's a noticing of space. You can do that. You can do that with sound. Emotion is very compelling, very, very compelling. And then all the language of emotion is very compelling. Say something like, maybe I inadvertently said something, friend, which was, we were having tea together, and I said, they look like a frog or something like that. You look like a frog this morning. Thank you. And I was coming from a bad space. Well, then when I sit down, away from that, then the language that I used, but more importantly, the mindset that I was into a cynical mood or whatever it might be, that, and I have now, if I take that regret and remorse into thinking, it usually goes to guilt. And guilt is worse than useless. It really is. It's not a good state of mind. It doesn't help anything. Feel, and it actually hurts yourself, and then it goes outwards again. So then if I'm just caught up with the object, like write very well. Oh, what a funny color this is. I'm just caught in the object. But if I've done this work with basic sight and sound, then when emotions come up, same idea, right? So there is the emotion, there's the language, and then just receive the emotion. And this is what mindfulness is. Mindfulness receives. And this is what metta bhavana is. Mindfulness accepts. So these two are very, very important. So then the memory of my interchange with someone comes up, and that memory is very unpleasant. But that's good because I was a bit of a creep. And I did come from I know I came from a really not a nice place. So that remorse is actually a good thing because it's compassionate. Instead of remembering, well, I don't want to be like, I don't want to do that. But then if I just run into the storyline, I go into self-view. So what I do is that I welcome that and try to get a sense of space on remorse itself. And obviously, I think we all learn also remorse has a powerful effect on the heart chakra. So then I go to the heart chakra. But in the same vein, I'm not trying to sort anything out now. Let it arise. And then I feel the heart chakra of remorse, and ooh, don't want that. But that's love. Grief is that way too, isn't it? When someone dies, and you're close to you, grief is very painful in the heart. But isn't that abiding there? Isn't that love? And you abide there. If you abide in thought, that's not really love. It's just commentary. So one of the things that I do is I develop the heart a lot. I really pay attention there a lot, and it's such an informative space, much more than intellect. It really informs me of my intentions and such like. But if I've learned to allow the heart to speak within this space of awareness, then that silent attention seems to sort things out. Whereas my thinking mind doesn't really sort things out. It just creates more of me doing the same kind of thing. So any exercises which I think create space and this kind of inwardness, not inwardness in terms of me and my practice. That's not love. That's selfishness. Like, leave me alone. I'm practicing metta bhavana. That's the classic Buddhist one. We all actually did that. May you be well. Shut up. May you be well. We just got it all wrong. But like this kind of inwardness of receptivity, to me, takes me to the heart of being. the real stillness of being. And that's interesting. That's very, very interesting. So it's not looking for, because the looking for experience is always an outward, at least that's the way my mind works. I'm looking for an experience of samadhi, which I had last week, or I'm looking for an experience of insight, or even looking for an experience of love, compassion. That's always me doing something to go somewhere to get something. And that outward, the more you reflect on that, that outwardness is really, when it's done ignorantly, me trying to get something, doesn't really work. But an inwardness, like allowing things to come in. So what I was suggesting in this meditation this morning was, first of all, kind of setting up the awake mind and feeling the body. You could use any sense base, but they're very neutral, really, unless you have a lot of bodily pain and the sound is horrible. They just play around with that. Just play around with sound, and then bodily feeling. Didn't get anything, so it's inquiry, it's experimenting, and that makes it all quite interesting. It doesn't just, oh God, there goes my mind. I have to do anapanasati now. That's horrible. So you're actually experimenting with simple things, and so I listen to sound. And then maybe I'll listen to sound. I'll actually see, what sound is that? And go out to it. Oh, that sounds like the air conditioner. And then I won't go out to it. It's just sound. Let sound be what it is. And then I'll go to the other sense base, the body. And then go back to sound. I'll toggle between the two, and then I'll put in the language that sound is in awareness. So I could say that her voice is out there. Secretary's voice is out in the hallway. True. But also, in another kind of perception, which we don't usually use, I could say that sound is in awareness. Now, I'm not making a philosophical statement about awareness being super conscious. It's not that. It's just a perception. It's the way of perceiving or not even thinking about it. But when I do that, that's the sound is in awareness. The world is coming and going in awareness, which is a Buddhist way of looking at the world. There's the conventional world, but there's also the world of sense experience arising and ceasing in awareness. To actually do that, so the sound seems to be outside, but the very perception of outside is in awareness. And that gives me a lot of space. And then I play around with the breath or anything like that, bodily feeling. Well, bodily feeling is in awareness. And then maybe like my head especially. Head is interesting because we so much seem to live from our eyes, our brains. And to actually like just, oh, the head is in awareness. The eyes are in awareness. And these exercises for me create space, the idea that awareness is conscious space. They're practical, they're not philosophical. I'm not into, I think taking positions just kills you. It just deadens the mind. So some people think, oh, it's not a position, it's like an actual doing, reflecting. So from that, you start to get a sense that awareness isn't like about, that awareness is really your real home. If you're going to identify with anything, don't identify with your emotions or your age or the color of your eyebrows or whatever you like. Better to identify with awareness. And we don't say that in Theravada Buddhism, I am awareness, because we're a bit down on the I am statement. But the kind of idea that I am nothing also doesn't work, because there's something going on, right? There's something going on. So just Lompo Sumedho would say, be the knowing. And these ideas of space are very, very helpful in that way. At least I find that. And then, so this morning I was suggesting that, first of all, again, get a sense of space. And then the idea of noticing silence by using a word, repeat that. So if Luang says to me, it's like this, then I'm not just kind of agreeing it's like this. Well, how else could it be? That's silly. But actually, it's like this. And then there's the stopping, there's the silence, right? And it's always there. If you remember just to do that, to stop. It's like this. Now, any technique you use, and this is a technique, will be corrupted very quickly to get rid of. You'll find that you find something works, it's like this, and then your mind will be rattling on it. It's like this. I'll get rid of it. It's like this, and you just try to get rid of it. The mind's very tricky. It used any means at all to fool you. But if you understand what that means, it's like this, and you keep doing that, the background begins to dominate. The silence begins to dominate. Begin to hear the sound of silence itself, right? That kind of ringing sound in the back of the mind. It's like this. Listening, being, which is not becoming. Hello. So there's that. And then finally, what I did just now was, this morning, was the breathing and the resting. Now, this isn't a good time maybe to do this because everyone will fall asleep on me, but because after lunch is not a good time to meditate. But the whole idea of resting is a very interesting idea for me, because the mind trying to get something is the problematic mind. I'm trying to get an experience. If I'm trying to wash the floors here or clean the windows, yeah, I try to do a good job. But this is a bit different. So touching the silence with the thought, with the word, it's like this, or I, very powerful. And then resting in the silence, kind of like learning to rest in it. And you'll find that you're always trying to do something, get something, figure something out. It's kind of resting in silence. And that's very inward for me, very inward, resting. And that works very well with the end of the out-breath. Trouble is, the end of the out-breath also works very well for the wandering mind. That's where we fall asleep. The in-breath is fine, it takes care of itself. So you start to combine these elements, space. What does space feel like? Do that, get a sense of spaciousness. Then really the silence, really touch the silence. It's like this, or I. Touch the silence, and then resting in the silence. These are, for me, very, very powerful tools. How about we change the program a bit? How about we all do some walking meditation now? Because I noticed quite a few people are sleepy, and justifiably so. It was a great lunch, and it's a bit hot. So why don't we do the walking for, if someone could ring the bell in 45 minutes. How's that? And kind of freshen up the old brain cells, the gray cells, as Poirot used to say. And then at the bell, we come back, and then we'll do sitting based on these ideas, and I'll guide us in. How's that? Okay, and we have a bell ringer for that? Yep, you do that? Okay, so let's say 2:18. So let's be back here at sort of 3:10. So the bell will go in 45 minutes, and it'll take us 5-10 minutes to get here. Okay? All right. Good. See you then. Okay. Start with silence, so it's like this. So you say the statement and notice the silence. It's like this. And there's a kind of waiting, but waiting for nothing. You could use another word. You could say I. You could use another word. You could say now. And you don't want to like hold and be tense to that silence. You relax into the silence. So it's like this. Silence, relax into it. I. Now. And then the breathing of the body is in awareness. And from that silent knowing, relax with the end of the out breath into the silence. To be that silent knowing right to the end of the out breath. So repeat that exercise, but don't just do it perfunctorily, sort of habitually, but rather really make the mind awake with the question or the statement saying it's like this. Now. So you keep recognizing your real home is that silence. And just relax and be at home with silence. Be the silence itself, as we say. I have an hour tea time, so keep practicing. And then we're back at